Hello and welcome. Today we have got the Lord of the Rings, the Two Towers. This was a project about on Kickstarter. It is from Jackson Robinson at Kingswell Project. Now we backed the Fellowship of the Ring last April 2022. This project was this April 2023, so the Return of the King presumably is next April. Jackson Robinson and Kingswell Project launched loads of decks of cards. They're always doing them. They, I would say, specialise in artwork. They're all illustrated by him, Jackson Robinson. Some of the art is crazy. It's so good. This project in particular, I backed the non-foiled editions. I've got a standard and a gilded here. The project itself, the Kickstarter campaign, if you backed it, you'll know there was so many variants you could pick from. There's at least 4 different decks of cards with foiled and gilded and all sorts of stuff like that. Limited edition boxes, jigsaws, t-shirts. There was a lot of stuff you could do. This time around I only went for these 2 decks. The next time, who knows, we'll find out next year. So, the Fellowship of the Ring, like I say, there's a video already up for that. I'll try and put a link somewhere if I can. Now, the latest one, the Two Towers, this is based on the books, not the movies. I thought, after we did the Theory 11 deck, that they might be going along a similar sort of line with their cards, which are licensed cards, so they follow the movie characters and the movie artwork and stuff like that. It's a bit different. Characters are a little bit different, but Jackson Robinson is following the books. So we'll get into the standard deck first, which I think is this one, as it's the same colour as this one. And we'll have a little look. So first off, the tuck box. The front cover has got a little bit of foil. It's also embossed, which feels really nice. The top, simply the Lord of the Rings. 2 towers on the side there. I always like how a lot of his projects, he makes them look like the books, so they'll sit nicely on a bookshelf. The other side's just Kingswell Project. The bottom is just your usual copyrights and where it's printed and stuff like that with the Kingswell Project logo there. Now the back, which is a different design to the first one. The first one was the Eye of Sauron, and we got the ring, and it was a bit of a kind of a compass going on here. This one, we've still got the one ring, which is embossed and foiled, which is really beautiful. We've got some swords. Forgive me, I can't remember the name of the swords. I presume they're Aragorn's. And we've got some like little detail. Again, that's all foiled there. All the gold detail is foiled. The artwork in the middle kind of feels like 2. So the 2 towers is kind of interlinking things in the middle here. Could be more rings. I think the other rings start to play in this book. So we'll have a look inside and see what's going on. So the inside of the tuck there is just all sorts of legal stuff, nothing that interesting. The inside of the box again is a map, Middle Earth. So I was wrong, this deck appears to be the foiled deck. Sorry, the gilded. This deck appears to be the gilded deck. The gild is absolutely flawless. Very, very nicely done. Looks great. So the back of the card is the same as the tuck box. Bit more colour, just pops a little bit more. Details are actually really nice on it. I love how the greens stand out. So here we go, we'll have a look at the characters he's picked. So the Jokers, we've got Shadowfax, which is Gandalf's horse, and we've got Grima Wormtongue just there. So you have to bear with me a minute. We'll go through them all. I've got a list of everybody here, so we'll go through just to make sure the names are right. So the King of Spades, we've got Gandalf the White. So this is after his transformation from Gandalf the Grey in the first book. And you see his staff and his sword. He's wearing armour this time. The detail around the edge, we've got flames with vines. The rings over here. Bit of a map in the background of the card. Really nice face card. So the Queen is Galadriel. Again, bit of ascension kind of going on there. It's not the camera, that is just very, very white. And the Jack is Gimli, which is one of the 7 on the journey as a dwarf. So it was similar with the last one, where it's kind of got a section of the map with a ring. I would imagine these highlight story, like key story places. The detail on the outside of the card is consistent through this suit at least. We'll have a look, see if it carries on. Pips are nice. Now the ace, according to this, the ace of spades is the lidless eye. Sorry, the lidless eye, which is Sauron's eye above his tower. And again, it's some more fantastic artwork with the detail with the flame. You kind of got the sort of idea of a ring there. It's quite hard to tell. So the hearts. So the hearts, that's King Theoden. The Queen is Eowyn. And the Jack is Eomer, which were all from the same family. I think in the last movie is where he goes a bit crazy and jumps off the top of the cliff. Eowyn is his daughter, who I think in the end marries Aragorn, if I remember right. And Eomer again is another character. So the outside of the card has gone to waves. Again, we've got a sword through the waves. Some more detail work. The pip has gone from a kind of grey to a gold. And it's the same on the background with the maps again. So the Ace of Hearts. The Ace of Hearts is the sword, which is Glamdring. I don't know if I'm saying that right. It's been a long time since I've seen the movies. Diamonds. We've got Treebeard. The Queen is Fimbrithil, and the Jack is Merry and Pippin. So the diamonds, we have gone to kind of a more natural fibrous kind of thing going on here. It's possibly, I didn't know if we were going with elements, but I wouldn't say it was wind. Hard to tell. So again, the pip, we've got this kind of gold and red. And the ace is the Fail of Galadriel. So clubs, these are some of the villains. We've got Saruman, Shelob, which is the big spider in the cave, and Golem or Gollum. Again, the artwork, the detail here to add the kind of the glow that's coming from the orb, highlights in his face and his features and on his robes. Very cool. The border on these is definitely like a tree, like tree branches. Which I would say was your earth. And then the pips again for the clubs, we've got kind of a silvery grey detail. So the ace is that orb that Sauron was holding, and that is the Palantir stone, which I believe he could see with. I'd have to look it up. Double-sided. Oh, and there we go. There was a list the whole time. So that's useful to know. Like I say, some of these characters either aren't in the movies or don't play a very big part. So yeah. So that's the gilded deck. I'll have a quick look at the non-gilded, but I think it will be the same. Yes, the non-gilded is exactly the same, just with the obvious exception of the edges not being gilded there. I'll get that back in. So the King's War project stuff, the artwork is always what sets them apart. They tell a story and they're really good at telling stories. They, like I say, there's so many projects on Kickstarter. They have a monthly subscription as well. So I know they have a big following, and you can see why when you look at the artwork. Like I say, I think the third deck is coming. I mean, on Kickstarter, this thing funded for nearly $500,000. So there's a lot of people and a lot of interest. So I can imagine we're definitely going to get the third. I would imagine, based on like I said earlier, we'll probably see it next April. We'll see the project come out anyway. It will be very nice to see how he finishes it and the characters he chooses and kind of the story he tells with it. We didn't get Frodo or Sam in this deck, but they were in the first one. So yeah, it's just going to be good to see what other characters. I thought possibly we might get more villains. These are very much kind of on the good side, with the exception of the clubs. There's so many characters in the Lord of the Rings books. I can understand how difficult it must be choosing just 12, 14 if you include the Jokers. It's got to be very difficult. I love that the aces are artifacts. That's a good way of getting them in. The borders, like I say, I think we've got kind of an earth, wind, fire and water thing going on. It all looks really good. I'm excited to get the last one in the series and complete all three. There's loads of King's War project stuff out there. I definitely recommend getting some if you're into stories, so like the cover off all of your old fairy tales, Peter Pan, Robin Hood, all that sort of stuff. It's quite readily available in the UK. It's definitely an American company, but there is a few vendors over here that do stock them, and relatively cheaply. They're not an expense for the standard deck of cards. They're not expensive. The quality of them is good. It's definitely worth getting if you want something a bit different with hand drawn artwork. So yeah, we'll get some more soon, and thank you for watching this.